Hello, BookTube. I'm back with another tag video. I had this suggested to me by one of those BookTube algorithms that pops up videos on the sidebar of something you're watching. So I clicked on over to a channel called Epic Reads and encountered a whole bunch more algorithms. Only these were some of the most lifelike Android programs I have ever seen. Looking at them, you'd swear that they were genuine young women. Then they open their mouths. Of course, computer programs cannot simulate genuine human thought. They can't simulate genuine human enthusiasm. And someone has programmed them to say, you guys, about every 5 seconds. So the channel itself was, I think, some sort of business marketing tool that seems to be tangentially about books. It was a rather soiling experience to look at, but I love the tag. So I thought we'd get right to it. It's called the Epic Reads tag. But I assure you, I am not a Steve bot. I am a real person. So question number 1. If you could invite one author and one of their fictional characters to tea, who would you invite and what would you serve them? Well, since I'm not a big old girl, I would invite them to supper, not to tea. But it would probably, just to be a troublemaker, I think I would probably invite Anthony Trollope and one of his most beloved characters, Septimus Harding, the warden of Hiram's Hospital in the novel called The Warden, because Septimus Harding is the closest thing you can get in the secular world to a saint. He's quiet, he's gentle, he's peaceful. And Trollope was none of those things in real life. He was hard of hearing, he shouted, he was red-faced, he was rude. And it'd be fun over tea to watch how much they would dislike each other, creator and creation. Question number 2. What book do you wish the author would write a prequel to? Of course, there are all sorts of candidates. I have always wanted to read a full-blown Tolkien epic on, for instance, the Sorcerer of Gol Gur, the whole battle that the White Council experiences that we only hear about at the Council of Elrond. We never see it except in the Peter Jackson movie. And there's also, I don't know if you've noticed this, those of you who've read Pride and Prejudice, those of you who love it, if you go back to the pertinent chapters, when the gardeners are taking the girls to Pemberley, there's a distinct tone in Mrs. Gardner's comments about the Darcy family. I think there's a story there. I have always suspected that Mrs. Gardner went through her own experience with Mr. Darcy Sr. If, of course, there's nothing to that, but if there were, I would love it if Jane Austen would write that. But I think my all-time number 1 candidate would be a Shakespeare play about Elsinore, a Shakespeare play about old King Hamlet, and when he wasn't old, and his battles with Poland, and his love of Gertrude, and his brother Laertes lurking around, or Claudius lurking around in the shadows. Was there a love triangle? Well, it strikes me that that story is infinitely more interesting than the story of, melodramatic 20-somethings that we get in Hamlet. So that would probably be my number 1 choice. Question number 3. Which 2 characters not from the same book do you think would make a good couple? This is the time-honored practice known as shipping. Those of us who are devotees of fan fiction know it well. And it's tougher than it looks, because all fictional characters come with their own worlds. You can't just pluck them out willy-nilly and give them whatever characterizations you want. They live in themselves. You can do things with them, but you can't make them not themselves. There are many, many candidates. One that I would like, I'm not even sure that it would be a romance, although I'm sure there's an audience for it, would be Lord Peter Wimsey and Bertie Wooster, both of whom would have been at Eton at right about the same time. Did they know each other? Did they have adventures? That would be probably my number 1 candidate. Question number 4. If you ran into your favorite author on the subway and could only say one sentence to them, what would you say and who would it be? And actually, that has happened to me. And my exact words, I wrote them down here from my journal so I would get them right. My exact words were, "Listen, Frank, If you want the L from here, which is nuts, but that's none of my business, you get off at 14th and 6th. I know, not very dramatic, but there you go. Question number 5. What book made you a reader and why? Well, that book would be Homer's Iliad. The whole hot, ringing, immediate, throat-gripping reality of it. But I think probably the detail that did it for me the first time was in Book 6, when in the middle of battle, Diomedes and Glaucus, two soldiers opposite sides of the war, are about to fight. They make preliminary speeches ahead of time before they fight and realize that they have a long shared family history. They swear not only loyalty to each other, but friendship to each other, right there in the middle of the battle. And to me, it has always represented the wonder that Homer can do in working real life into a gigantic epic, the biggest epic of them all. Which is why I reread it all the time, and that sucked me in. That made me realize what fiction can do. Question number 6. Incendio. Your bookshelves caught fire. Show the one book you save. The one book I wouldn't save would be Harry Potter, since I'm sure that the beginning of this question is yet another quotation of the stupid, incorrect, cod Latin that J.K. Rowling throws into all those books, and that has a million young people spouting off phrases and words that would make Cicero pull his hair out. But the answer to the question, I think it would probably be just because fire is so bad for her delicate albino skin. Question number 7. What dystopian world would you choose to live in, and why? This is a rather odd question, since the whole point of dystopian fiction is that they're worlds you don't want to live in. You want to avoid them. I know one dystopian world that I wouldn't want to live in. That would be a catastrophically warming world in which madmen possess weapons of doomsday potential. Privacy is a myth, and the leading nation in that world is a pit of bigotry and corruption in which $8 an hour security guards kill people by remote control all over the world using high technology. I wouldn't want to live in that dystopia. Question number 8. What is your most epic read of all time? Lots of candidates here. There's Proust. There's Anthony Pohl, Dance to the Music of Time. We've mentioned that here before. There's Patrick O'Brian, the whole of the Aubrey and Maturin series. But I think for me, the winner here would be the Bible, since it's a slog anyway, and in this particular case, the Vulgate of St. Jerome, which is a tangle, a labyrinth, to put it mildly. It's an accomplishment when you finish reading it. And that leaves us, that's it, that's the whole tag. That leaves us with who I will tag, and I have some candidates. There's Jay Bookish at her channel. I'll link all these down below. There's Jay Bookish, her channel's called that. There's Katie at Life Between Words. Wonderful, fun channel. There's Joe, a retired book nerd, because I want her answers to these questions. And there's also Gavin at Within the Good Books. He says his name's Gavin, but you'll only have to go to his channel to see that it's in fact Jon Snow from Game of Thrones. So if you ever wanted to see what Jon Snow would say about books on BookTube, by some weird coincidence, he joins us. And so I tag them, but of course, as always, you're all tagged. I want answers to all these. I think this might be an old tag, but don't let that stop you. Do it over again. Times change. People change. Anyway, that's it for today. That's my tag. I'll see you tomorrow with more. Thank you, BookTube.